We solve this recurrence by the same method of backward substitution. See the calculation. Since the initial condition is specified for n is equal to 1, which is achieved for I is equal to n minus 1, we get the following formula for the solution to recurrence. Alternatively, by counting the number of nodes in the tree obtained by recursive calls, we can get the total number of calls made by the tower of Hanai algorithm. See the figure. And example 3, binary of n algorithm. The recurrence relation can be written as. Also note that a of 1 is equal to 0. The standard approach to solving such a recurrence is to solve it only for n is equal to 2 to the power of k and then take advantage of the theorem called smoothness rule, which claims that under very broad assumptions the order of the growth observed for n is equal to 2 to the power of k gives a correct answer about the order of the growth for all values of n. See the calculation. Now backward substitution encounter no problems. Thus we get up with r after returning to the original variable n is equal to 2 to the power of k and hence k is equal to log 2 n. See the calculations. Now let us see important problem types. In this section we are going to introduce the most important problem types: sorting, searching, string processing, graph problems, combinatorial problems. First, let us see sorting. The sorting problem is to rearrange the items of a given list in non-decreasing order. As a practical matter, we usually need to sort lists of numbers, characters from an alphabet or character strings. Although some algorithms are indeed better than others, there is no algorithm that would be the best solution in all situations. Some of the algorithms are simple but relatively slow, while others are faster but more complex. Some work better or randomly order inputs, while others do better on almost sorted lists. Some are suitable only for lists residing in the fast memory, while others can be adapted for sorting large files stored on a disk, and so on. Two properties of sorting algorithms deserve special mention. A sorting algorithm is called stable if it preserves the relative order of any two equal elements in its input. The second notable feature of a sorting algorithm is the amount of extra memory the algorithm requires. An algorithm is said to be in place if it does not require extra memory except possibly for a few memory units. Now let us see searching. The searching problem deals with finding a given value called a search key in a given set or a multi-set which permits several elements to have the same value. There are plenty of searching algorithms to choose from. The range from the straightforward sequential search to a spectacularly efficient but limited binary search and algorithm based on representing the underlying set in a different form more conducive to searching. The latter algorithms are of particular importance for real world applications because they are indispensable for sorting and retrieving information, for storing and retrieving information from large databases. Now let us see string processing. In recent decades, the rapid proliferation of applications dealing with non-numerical data has intensified the interest of researchers and computing practitioners in string handling algorithms. A string is a sequence of characters from an alphabet. String processing algorithms have been important for computer science in conjunction with computer languages and compiling issues. Now let us see graph problems. One of the oldest and most interesting areas in algorithm is graph algorithms. Informally, a graph can be thought of as a collection of points called vertices, some of which are connected by a line segment called edges. Graph can be used for modeling a wide variety of applications, including transportation, communication, social and economic networks, project scheduling, and games. Studying different technical and social aspects of the internet in particular is one of the active areas of current research involving computer scientists, economists, and social scientists. Now let us see combinatorial problems. Generally speaking, combinatorial problems are the most difficult problems in computing from both a theoretical and practical standpoint. Their difficulty stems from the following facts. First, the number of combinatorial objects typically grows extremely fast, with a problem size reaching unimaginable magnitudes even for moderate sized instances. Second, there are no known algorithm for solving most such problems exactly in an acceptable amount of time. Now let us see fundamental data structures. Since the vast majority of algorithms of interest operate on data, particular ways of organizing data play a critical role in the design and analysis of algorithms. A data structure can be defined as a particular scheme of organizing related data items. First, let us see linear data structure. The two most important elementary data structures are the array and the linked list. A one-dimensional array is a sequence of items of the same data type that are stored continuously in computer memory and made accessible by specifying a value of array's index. See the figure. A linked list is a sequence of 0 or more elements called nodes, each containing two kinds of information, some data and one or more links called pointers to the other nodes of the linked list. In a single linked list, each node except the last one contains a single pointer to the next element. Another extension is the structure called doubly linked list, in which every node except the first and last contains pointers to both its successor and predecessor. See the figure. A list is a finite sequence of data items, that is a collection of data items arranged in a certain linear order. The basic operations performed on this data structure are searching for, inserting and deleting an item. Two special types of lists, stacks and queues, are particularly important. A stack is a list in which insertions and deletions can be done only at the end. This end is called the top because a stack is usually visualized not horizontally but vertically, akin to a stack of plates whose operations it mimics very closely. A queue, on the other hand, is a list from which elements are deleted from one end of the structure called the front. This operation is called dequeue, and new elements are added to the other end called the rear. This operation is called enqueue. Consequently, a queue operates in a first in first out FIFO fashion, akin to a queue of customers served by a single teller in a bank. Queues also have many important applications, including several algorithms for graph problems. Many important applications require selection of an item of the highest priority among a dynamically changing set of candidates. A data structure that seeks to satisfy the needs of such applications is called a priority queue. A priority queue is a collection of data items from a totally ordered universe, most often integer or real numbers. The principal operations on a priority queue are finding its largest element, deleting its largest element, and adding a new element. Now let us see the graph. The graph is informally thought of as a collection of Points in the plane called vertices are nodes, some of them connected by line segments called edges or arcs. A graph G is called undirected if every edge in it is undirected. A graph whose every edge is directed is called directed. Directed graphs are also called digraphs. The graph depicted in the figure A has 6 vertices and 7 undirected edges. V is equal to A, B, C, D, E, F. E is equal to AC, AD, BC, BF, CE, DE, EF. The digraph depicted in the figure 1.6b has 6 vertices and 8 directed edges. V is equal to A, B, C, D, E, F. E is equal to AC, BC, BF, CE, DA, DE, EC, EF. Graph representations. Graph for computer algorithms are usually represented in one of the two ways, the adjacency matrix and adjacency lists. The adjacency matrix of a graph with n vertices is an n cross n Boolean matrix with one row and one column for each of the graph's vertices, in which the element in the ith row and jth column is equal to 1 if there is an edge from ith vertex to the jth vertex, and equal to 0 if there is no such edge. The adjacency lists of a graph or digraph is a collection of linked lists, one for each vertex, that contain all the vertices adjacent to the list's vertex, that is, all the vertices connected to it by an edge. See this figure. Now let us see weighted graphs. A weighted graph or weighted digraph is a graph or digraph with numbers assigned to its edges. These numbers are called weights or costs. Among the many properties of graphs, two are important for a great number of applications: connectivity and acyclicity. Both are based on the notion of the path. A path from vertex U to vertex V of a graph G can be defined as a sequence of adjacent connected by an edge vertices that starts with U and ends with V. See the figure ABC. Now let us see, a graph is said to be connected if for every pair of its vertices U and V there is a path from U to V. Graphs with several connected components do happen in real world applications. It is important to know for many applications whether or not a graph under consideration has cycles. A cycle is a path of a positive length that starts and ends at the same vertex and does not traverse the same edge more than once. Now let us see trees. A tree, more accurately a free tree, is a connected acyclic graph. A graph that has no cycles but is not necessarily connected is called a forest. Each of its connected components is a tree. Trees have several important properties other graphs do not have. In particular, the number of edges in a tree is always one less than the number of its vertices. Modulus of E is equal to modulus of V minus 1. See the figures A tree, P forest. Now let us see rooted trees. Another very important property of trees is the fact that for every two vertices in a tree there always exists exactly one simple path from one of these vertices to other. This property makes it possible to select an arbitrary vertex in a free tree and consider it as the root of this so-called rooted tree. A rooted tree is usually depicted by placing its root on the top level 0 of the tree, the vertices adjacent to the root below it level 1, the vertices 2 edges apart from the root till below level 2, and so on. See the figure. Now let us say the depth of the vertex V is the length of the simple path from the root to V. The height of a tree is the length of the longest simple path from the root to a leaf. Ordered trees. An ordered tree is a rooted tree in which all the children of each vertex are ordered. It is convenient to assume that in a tree's diagram all the children are ordered left to right. A binary tree can be defined as an ordered tree in which every vertex has no more than two children and each children is designated as either a left child or a right child of its parent. A binary tree may also be empty. If a number assigned to each parental vertex is larger than all the numbers in its left subtree and smaller than all the numbers in its right subtree, such trees are called binary search trees. Binary trees and binary search trees have a wide variety of applications in computer science. See the figure. Now let us see sets and dictionaries. A set can be described as an unordered collection, possibly empty, of distinct items called elements of the set. A specific set is defined either by an explicit listing of its elements, example S is equal to 2, 3, 5, 7, or by specifying a property that all the set's elements and only they must satisfy, example S is equal to n. N is a prime number smaller than 10. The most important set operations are checking membership of a given item in a given set, finding the union of two sets which comprise all the elements in either or both of them, and finding the intersection of two sets which comprises all the common elements in the set. Set can be implemented in computer applications in two ways. The first, consider only sets that are subsets of some large set U called the universal set. If set U has any elements, then any subset S of U can be represented by a bit string of size n called a bit vector, in which the ith element is 1 if and only if ith element of U is included in set S. The second and more common way to represent a set for computing purposes is to use the list structure to indicate the set's elements. This is feasible only for finite sets. The requirement for uniqueness is sometimes circumvented by the introduction of the multi-set or bag, an unordered collection of the items that are not necessarily distinct. Note that if a set is represented by a list, depending on the application at hand, it might be worth maintaining the list in a sorted order. Now let us see dictionary. In computing the operations we need to perform for a set or multi-set, most often are searching for a given item, adding a new item, and deleting an item from the collection. A data structure that implements these three operations is called the dictionary. An efficient implementation of a dictionary has to strike a compromise between the efficiency of searching and the efficiencies of the other two operations. They range from an unsophisticated use of arrays, sorted or not, to much more sophisticated techniques such as hashing and balanced search trees. A number of applications in computing require a dynamic partition of some n elements set into a collection of disjoint subsets. After being initialized as a collection of n one element subsets, the collection is subjected to a sequence of intermixed union and search operations. This problem is called the set union problem.